Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at some of the cryptocurrencies. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the top market cap, top cryptocurrencies by market cap. So we're going to have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Bitcoin Cash, Cardano, or Cardano, however you want to pronounce that, Litecoin, NEM, Stellar, IOTA, NEO, EOS, and then EOS, and then I skipped the Dash Monerotron, and I'm going to do Bitcoin Gold. And then I'll try to do the other ones in another video. So yeah. So as you can see here, that they have the market cap up here, 11 billion for the Bitcoin, and then you can see how they start dropping off after that. So basically, let's take a look at the chart. All right, let's take a look here at Bitcoin Coinbase. And so what's going on with Bitcoin Coinbase is it's been trading in a sideways. I guess you would call it a sideways channel here, and it's been broke below the 50-day simple moving average, and that was the move that the bulls were not looking for. That was signaling more downside risk. As you can see here on this candle on the 11th, that there was a close below that green line. We were looking for that to hold, and so now as you can see, the next three candles were unable to break above that level, and now we have the candles writing EMA for resistance lower. They have been actually since back here on the 8th, and so the share price has been or the cryptocurrency price has been pulling back here, and it's trying to form a double bottom off of this key support zone here. We have the what is this? This is the 12,825. It needs to hold. That was the close here on the 30th of December. Now, if there's a break below that level, that's when you could see a drop down to the 100-day simple moving average, currently at 10,653. So that's the downside risk if this key support from the end of December fails to hold. Now that what has to happen for this downtrend to reverse, because right now Bitcoin is in a downtrend. It's trading below the middle Bollinger Band, which is also the 20-day simple moving average, and so it needs to get above this pink and orange and lime lines, which is EMAs 4, 8, and 13, and then above the green line, which is the 50-day simple moving average, and then above this purple line in the middle, which is the 20-day simple moving average. So there's basically 5 key levels that it has to bust through right above here, and in order to do that, that's what happened back here, but it failed to hold support, and it's now pulling back again. If it fails to get above those levels, that's when you're going to see this big drop down to the 10,000 level. If it comes down to that 10,000 level and hits the 100-day simple moving average, it should be a good level for a technical bounce play. Okay, let's look at Bitcoin on the Bitstamp, and as you can see, it's the same setup. It came down and hit the 50-day simple moving average back here on December 30th, and that we were looking for a bounce off that level. That happened, and then it came back and it hit that level here on the 10th of January. It bounced off that level. But then on the 11th, it closed below, and so that's a big red flag. That it's a bearish change in trend. It bounced off before, got back above the middle Bollinger Band, but notice how the middle Bollinger Band failed to hold, and the candles are now forming below that pink line. That's signaling more downside risk. So it's the exact same setup. It needs to get back above EMAs 4, 8, and 13, and above the 50-day simple moving average in the middle Bollinger Band, which is also the 20-day simple moving average, to get an uptrend going. Notice how they both have this descending resistance line. Notice how they failed to make a higher high. Okay, notice how there was the high. We had the climax a spike, and then it came down and it made that high close on December 16th, and then it came down, bounced off the 50-day simple moving average, and when it came back up, notice how it's made a lower high, and so that's a red flag. It needs to keep making higher highs to push higher, so this is signaling downside risk, and so it has to get above this high close here at 17,100. It needs to make a new high close to push higher. If it fails to do that, you could see more downside risk, and now it's the same setup here. It had the high close, and then it came down, bounced off the 50, came back up, but it failed to break above that 19,165 level. So it has to now get above 17,122. If it fails to get above that level, it's signaling more downside risk. If 12,616, that's the closing price here on the 30th of December, if that breaks, that's when you could see a drop down here to the 100-day simple moving average, currently at 10. 10.545, and so that's the gold line here. And notice how that's also lined up with the bottom of this new downtrending channel. See, Bitcoin was in an uptrending channel. Now it's starting to trend downward. Okay, let's look at Ethereum. Okay, so Ethereum still has a very nice uptrend going. Notice how it's just been, riding, the EMAs 4, 8, and 13 higher, bouncing off the middle Bollinger Band, the solid purple line when it's tested. It bounced off here, came up, bounced off again, it's come up, and then now it's testing EMA 4 today. That's the pink line. If it closes below that, that's currently at 1,318. If it closes below that level, then you're going to see a drop down to EMA 8 at 12,000 or 1,252. And so, those are two big levels to stay above. This entire time for the push in, all through January, this entire 2018, there's only been one close below EMA 4, and that was on the 11th. And so if there's a close below, that's going to signal downside risk, and there hasn't been a single close below EMA 8 this entire year. So if it gets a close below that line, EMA 8, that's going to be your big red flag, and you could see it drop all the way down to the middle Bollinger Band at 10.13. So keep that in mind. And also, it has to keep making new high closes, and so it's really important. So you always want to be putting in your horizontal resistance lines at the top. And so, 13.86. If it fails to close above 13.86, that's going to be a red flag. That'll signal a temporary top, and it could consolidate. This is a beautiful uptrend. It's been very strong. You just have to be on the lookout for it cooling down. Okay, let's look at XRP. Okay, so this is Ripple. This is the Bitstamp dollar chart. And as you can see here, there was a bearish development. It came down. It had the 4 red candles in a row, and we were looking for a bounce off this this purple line here, which is the middle Bollinger Band. It's currently at $1.91, and as you can see here, the share price is at $1.82. Okay, so it held that level here on the 11th, and it started to bounce on the 12th, but notice how it turned into resistance. I mean, we have big, how I was talking about the candles riding EMAs 4, 8, and 13 resistance lower. Notice how the bottom of a red candle, this is the close, and notice how each one of these closes is below the pink line, and then now you notice how the top of the green candle is a close, and notice how that was below the pink line as well. EMA 4 is resistance. They're not letting it close above. That's your signal the program has been flipped. When it was heading higher, it was writing EMA 4. They flipped the script. Now it's writing EMA 4 resistance lower. You want to be either a bear if you're riding, right, because you're riding it lower, you're shorting it, or you want to be on the sidelines because you don't want to be holding right now if you're long because you're just losing money. That's what the charts are saying. The charts are signaling downside risk. It has to get back above the middle Bollinger Band. So once it closes above EMA 4 at 189, that's your clue. Okay, now it's heating up, and that's when you're looking to get in on a bounce play. But it has to close above, and then it has to get above that middle Bollinger Band currently at $2.09 to get a new uptrend going. If the middle Bollinger Band turns into resistance, it's going to signal big downside risk. You're going to see a drop down to the lower Bollinger Band, which is currently at 124. That's this purple line. And notice how it's lined up with the 50-day simple moving average at 115. So if it turns into resistance, you look for a reload off of a bounce off of that 115 support level. So yeah, this is really crucial that XRP gets back above that middle Bollinger Band, and it could totally happen. They could make that happen, but right now it's downside risk. If we look back here, the Bollinger Bands are messing up the chart. But here you can take a look with it cleaned up. I mean, we were on this back here, we were on it when it broke out and it got in the 30s and that call above the 40s, and then now it's flipped. Now it's heading down. And so notice how strong it was. Notice how the candles are riding that pink and green line higher. Okay, that's when you want to be long. And then when it flips over, and when this candle formed right here on the 8th, that was your signal to get out, be on the sidelines. If you didn't get out through here when it was, topping out, because nobody knows if it's going to break out higher, right? Nobody has a crystal ball. They have no idea. This was a climax spike here. You had the pullback from high of day with the doji formed at the top. Many times if it fails, I guess the big key was this high close resistance. It did close above that on the 7th, but it failed to get back above, and it's just, it's been down, pulling down lower. And so, yeah, you could see how it could easily drop all the way down to this 50-day simple moving average, down here at 115. This is clearly showing that it's currently in a downtrend. Okay, let's look at BCH. So this is kind of an interesting chart. Okay, so yeah, you know, a lot of the different cryptocurrencies, you know, have made parabolic moves, and then they're pulling back, or you know, they've already been correcting for a while, and now they're in a downtrend, like Bitcoin. But now we have Bitcoin Cash here, and notice how it's trading sideways. It has really tight Bollinger Bands going right now, and when the Bollinger Bands get tight, that's a signal that a move is coming, that the current consolidation pattern should end soon, and that a new pattern should begin. And so we use the you know, the tight Bollinger Bands as a signal to really keep an eye on, be it either a cryptocurrency or a stock, an equity, or commodity, whatever you're charting. When you get really tight Bollinger Bands, the Bollinger Bands are you know, this is the upper Bollinger Band, the solid purple line, and this solid purple line down here is the other the lower Bollinger Band, and then you have the darker purple line in the middle, which is the middle Bollinger Band. And notice how they're getting really tight. How they were really wide back here in December, right? And now they've tightened. And when they get really tight like that, it signals a move is coming. So this sideways channel that's been going on for the last few weeks, this pattern is going to end soon. And either there's going to be a break above resistance. If it breaks above that upper Bollinger Band, currently at 22.14, then that's going to signal upside potential. I guess no, that would be 27.81. That would signal upside potential. If it drops below this lower Bollinger Band at 22.14, that's going to signal downside risk. So notice how the lower Bollinger Band now is lined up with the low close in the channel, and the upper Bollinger Band is lined up with the high close. One of those two levels is going to break. If you see a breakthrough resistance, that's a signal to go long, and you could see a run up here to the high close at 37.50. If it breaks below that green line, that signals downside risk, and it could work its way all the way down to that prior low in 1200. So this is a huge move, you know, place on the chart for Bitcoin Cash, so keep an eye on it. A move should be coming soon. So take a look at ADA. Okay, so this is, you know, it has a really high market cap, or you know, it has a very high valuation. It's yeah, it's pretty astonishing. Yeah, so check it out. It's got this very strong uptrend going, and notice the channel has been going up, and then it peaked here on the 4th, and then it had that nasty candle on the 5th. And since the 5th, it's been downtrending. It's been pulling back. Now it's still in an uptrend on the chart. It's holding the middle Bollinger Band. And it's holding the bottom of this channel. Okay, so notice how each time this middle Bollinger Band hits, it's bouncing. Okay, it bounced off of EMA 13 here, bounced off of the middle Bollinger Band here, that's the purple line, and now it's back at that level. If it breaks below this green line, which is lined up with the middle Bollinger Band, you could see a pullback lower. You know, this 5142 really needs to hold. If that breaks, you know, you could see it drop all the way down to 3596. To the upside, what you want to see is a break above 6491. If it can break above that level, then it could head all the way back up to 752. This is another crucial level in the charts. It started, you know, heading sideways here. It's either going to break above resistance or break below support on the next candle or two. So keep an eye on it. It's coming to a flex point here. Okay, let's look at Litecoin. So Litecoin has a similar chart to Bitcoin Cash, where it has a very tight Bollinger Bands going. Notice that this is the upper Bollinger Band. This is the lower Bollinger Band. They're super tight. It's been in a sideways channel. Something's going to give eventually. Notice that this green line coming up here, this is the 50-day simple moving average. It needs to hold that support level currently at 220. To the upside, if it can break above this 280 level, that's going to be a huge level. The 278, huge level to get above. The chart is a little difficult to read with these Bollinger Bands. I will take them off, and then it'll clean it up for us here. I just wanted to show you how it was coming down by that middle Bollinger Band, and how tight the Bollinger Bands were. And as you can see here, it's down here hitting this 50-day simple moving average support zone. You know, after topping out back here on the 18th, it pulled back. You know, it's failing to get above this 278 level that I just mentioned. If it can break above 278, that's going to be your big signal that it wants to head higher. If it, you know, notice that it had an ascending support line going, and it had broke below that level on the 9th. You know, that was signaling, you know, more consolidation. It's all about the 50-day simple moving average now. You know, hold 220 and it's still in play. It has to break above this descending resistance line. Notice how the candles are at that level now. So if you see a close above that level, that's going to be a signal that it wants to break out higher. If it drops below that 50-day simple moving average, notice that you have support here on this close. Let's see here, the candles got messed up a little, or the support line got messed up a little bit at 210. So the closing price here on the 30th, that's a huge level. It's just right below the 50-day simple moving average. If that were to break, notice that that was lined up with this closing price over here. You could see a drop all the way down to 148. There's not a lot of support in between 210 and 148, so that is the downside risk. That's the problem with the parabolic moves on these cryptocurrencies that had blue sky breakouts. There isn't a lot of support below. Okay, so when they start pulling back, they could get moving sharply to the downside. Okay, let's look at XEM here. This is XEM BTC. It had a really nice move. It broke out above all the moving averages down here in December. It was way down here at super low levels. Notice the giant volume at the bottom. People loaded heavy. It came all the way up, and then it hit this 11.1160 resistance level and pulled back. And now it's coming at the key level. It's at EMA 13, and then you have the middle Bollinger Band here. It needs to hold 9338. That's the huge level to hold. If it breaks below that, you have the middle Bollinger Band at 009 basically. And so a break below 9, that's going to signal downside risk. That's going to signal that this uptrend is broken. Currently, EMA 13 has been holding, so a close below that is going to be a big red flag. It's really consolidated in the last few days. The volume has has become very, very light, and so there's going to be a volume spike coming. It's either going to be a volume spike to the downside or the upside. So look for either a break above this red descending resistance line to signal a possible run back up to 11, or if it breaks below EMA 13 in the middle Bollinger Band, you could see it drop all the way down to 8, possibly down to 7. Okay, let's look at XLM. BTC. This has a very similar setup to XEM. It had the really nice, look how tight the Bollinger Bands were in November. Super tight, broke out above, just a really sweet run. Went all parabolic, ran up to 586, pulled back. Notice how the candles here were above the upper Bollinger Band. This is the upper Bollinger Band here. They got ahead of themselves. This red candle was your signal, go to the sidelines, danger, danger. Came back. It failed to make a higher high, much lower high on the bounce here. And now it's hitting this, descending resistance line. It's still holding EMA 4. The chart's still bullish here, but it has been consolidating. It really needs to get above the high close resistance level here at what is that, at 4829. It needs to get above that level. That's going to be the next key level. If it fails to break that, you could see it come down to that middle Bollinger Band and test the bottom of this channel at 3743. That's the big level to hold. If that breaks, then you could see a downtrend begin. So it's really important for all these cryptocurrencies to keep that middle Bollinger Band as a support level, because stocks in an uptrend form candles above the middle Bollinger Band. When the middle Bollinger Band turns into resistance, that's when they're in a downtrend and it signals downside risk. Okay, let's look at IOT.USD. Okay, so this is IOTA. This is another one of the tight Bollinger Bands. Okay, so similar to the the Bitcoin Cash. It has the tight Bollinger Bands going. Look at the upper Bollinger Band, the lower Bollinger Band. It's been in the sideways channel here. One of two levels are going to break. It's either going to break above resistance or below support. And so if this bottom of the channel, well, here first, since it's red, we'll just do the top. Since up here at what is this at 413. Okay, so if there's a break above 413, that should signal that it wants to head higher. And then we could just use this one here. And then if you come down here to the bottom of this current channel, because it's really channeled out tight here, and when that happens, that signals that a move is more than likely coming soon. So if it can break out above or if it breaks out below the 323 level, that's going to signal downside risk. So look how tight it is. It's so tight here you can't even view it. But when you pull it open, you can see that the Bollinger Bands have really constricted here. It's really, really tight. They're holding the 50-day simple moving average. That's the green line. The moving averages have all converged here. EMA's 4, 8, 13 in the middle Bollinger Band. And so something's going to break here. It's either going to break above resistance or below support. If it breaks below support, that's that's going to signal downside risk. It could drop all the way down to $2, way down here to that 50 or 100-day simple moving average. If you see break above 413, look for a possible run up to 431. That was the high close. That would be the next key resistance level to break. So keep an eye on it. This is going to be really interesting to see if this can break out from this pattern. This is what it looks like without the Bollinger Bands. You could see here it had hit this resistance level that we had talked about before, and it's really been in this sideways channel. So we're going to see, whether or not something's going to happen here soon. Look at the volume down here. Look how low the volume is. Yeah, something's going to give here very soon. So keep an eye on the IOT. Okay, let's look at EOS. Check out the very strong uptrend, super strong uptrend. Candles have been riding EMAs 4, 8, and 13 support higher. Currently $16 is the big level to break. If it can break above 16, that signals it wants to head higher. If you see it drop below EMA 8 at 1273, that's the lime line, that's going to signal some consolidation. It needs to hold the middle Bollinger Band down here at $10, $10.11 to keep this uptrend going. It's got a really nice uptrend, but if it fails to break 16, that's going to be your signal that it's hitting a temporary top and it could consolidate. So keep an eye on it. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It had pulled back when, because it has heavy South Korean trading. But yeah, since that was just a false alarm, and now they are going to allow cryptocurrencies in South Korea, yeah, so that was just a huge nightmare. And so yeah, we'll see how this plays out, if it can keep the momentum going and get back above 16. And yeah, and yeah, when it has a strong uptrend, as long as the candles are in EMA's 4 and 8 support higher, the signals to keep riding. It's the close below that you could see that pull back to the middle Bollinger Band. And then once they get to below the middle Bollinger Band, that's when it becomes a very big risk for the longer term swing traders. That's when the downtrend could begin. Now look at NEO. Okay, yeah, this is on a nice uptrend too. Notice it just started trading back here in September. It's got a nice strong uptrend going right in EMA's 4 and 8 support higher, the pink and green lines, the lime line. Yeah, as long as this pattern continues, and you're a longer term, holder, trader, investor, whatever you want to call it, the signal is to keep riding. That's what the chart is signaling. Once you see it close below these levels, that's going to signal some consolidation. It could drop all the way down to that middle Bollinger Band. That's the risk. That's why people don't like to hold when EMA 4 and 8 support break, because you're losing out. The EMA 4 is currently at 146. If that broke and you had a drop all the way down to the middle Bollinger Band at 102, that's a big percentage gain drop. So yeah, these cryptocurrencies are trading vehicles for most people, and so yeah, as long as it has a nice strong uptrend, the signal is to keep riding. So yeah, this is a really nice play here. So yeah, keep an eye on NEO. We'll see if it can continue. If EMA 8 support break, since it has been holding here, you look at this candle here. This is the risk on the 22nd, and that was that they all had that crazy action on that day, but you can see it dropped all the way down here to 30. It went from 74 to 30, and that's the risk here, is that if it breaks down, you get that big spike down, and it hits that 50-day simple moving average or the middle Bollinger Band, or that's the kind of moves that these cryptocurrencies can make. They can be very volatile, so keep that in mind. They're very risky. Yeah, if you look here at Bitcoin Gold, it did make the bullish move that we were looking for. So people that have been following this video, that been watching the videos and stuff, and I've been talking about the Bitcoin Gold making a double bottom here, and then it made a triple bottom. It's been holding this 215 support level, and then we were looking for a break above the green line, the 50-day simple moving average, and above the middle Bollinger Band, and so that finally happened. So it broke above, and it broke above this red descending resistance line on the what day is this? On the 13th. So on the 13th, it busted above, and so that was a huge move. And then yesterday it pulled back. The candles did work back into the bands. Notice yesterday's close, or 2 days ago, the close was so big it was well above the upper Bollinger Band. The candles have just worked back into the bands. So right now, to make a long story short, the thing that matters on this chart now is this green line, and that's currently at 269. Okay, so that's over here you can see it on the left. That's the 50-day simple moving average at at 269. If that level holds, that should signal that it wants to push higher. Okay, so it's all about turning that 50-day simple moving average into support right now. This could be the third close in a row above that level if it can hold that level. And then what you want to see, if 276 hold, or 269 holds, it is a close above 328. That is the closing price on that big day on the 13th. If you see a close of above 328, that's when it could run back up to 400, that recent high close, or the all-time high close. And so yeah, so this is an interesting chart. It held that triple bottom 215 level. It had that nice spike up. Now it has this descending resistance line to break above as well. Yeah, so keep an eye on it. We'll see if BTG can follow through and break resistance this week. Okay, thank you very much for viewing this video. I'll try to get out some more cryptocurrency videos. And yeah, thank you very much for viewing. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, check out our chat. I'll post the link below the YouTube video. Thank you.